huge competition all the time. Even like scrolling through social media, it's a competition, and it's just really stressful.
I don't feel good enough because I'm not that good at math.
I don't feel good enough because I constantly compare my test scores with other people, and I constantly compare my height with other people. I'm taller than everyone, and it really makes me feel bad about myself.
So there have been a lot of times where I felt inadequate in school particularly. A lot of the times when we're taking tests and people get their tests back and they're like, oh my God, I failed it. And then they get like a 91%, and I'm like, okay, but I got like a 50%, so like you're making me feel really bad now.
Today I'm just going to ask you a few questions about the high school education culture. Do you feel that extreme competition is more of a motivator or a demotivator?
I think if they're too hyper-focused on comparing themselves to other students, it certainly could be detrimental. Rather than kind of looking at their own progress and setting their own short-term and long-term goals and focusing on things that they have strengths with.
I don't feel good enough because I'm more creatively inclined and people expect me to be more academic.
Do you feel that students think that the objective standards like test scores and grades define their worth?
I think in many cases they do.
I don't feel good enough because sometimes when you compare GPAs with someone else and you have a lower one, they automatically think that they're smarter than you.
As a school psychologist in my role, I think they're constantly trying to strive for perfection and meet expectations of their teachers, their parents, their coaches.
I don't feel good enough because I got into my dream school and people began to criticize me for it.
I think a lot of students are feeling a lot of pressure to go to particular schools.
I don't feel good enough because people always ask me if I'm only going to Michigan State because I didn't get in anywhere else.
What do you think that the perfection expectation has?
Kind of making sure that we're looking at kind of overall mental health of students and not just kind of striving for the next test score or the next grade. When we look at anxiety, things like anxiety, depression, I'm asked a lot whether we're seeing a higher prevalence of that, and I think those two things are correlated.
The concept of growth mindset was developed by psychologist Carol Dweck. In recent years, many schools and educators have started using Dweck's theories to inform how they teach students. Carol Dweck defines growth mindset as when people believe that their most basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. Brains and talent are just the starting point.
I think growth mindset is really a great tool to keep students motivated and engaged in the learning process. I really like it because it gives people sort of a pedagogy of hope, right? It makes us think and know and believe that all students can learn, and that's the really exciting part about growth mindset. And I also think that there's a little bit of a problem sometimes with false growth mindset. Your goal is not to just tell people what they want to hear. You do have to give people some honest assessment and feedback, but spinning that in a growth-oriented way, I think, is a really important factor in delivering people a very accurate view of who they are and what they need to work on. Emphasis on standardized tests, which sideline students from the learning process. The fact that it's become a lot less process-oriented and a lot more product-oriented is a result of some of the techniques that we've done with grading in schools. I think a lot of people want to blame that on students, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think teachers and educational leaders and even politicians have a role to play in how students see their education.
Researchers have found that teacher practice can have a large impact on a student's mindset. The feedback that teachers give can either encourage a child to challenge themselves or to do the bare minimum. Praising intelligence encourages a fixed mindset, while praising hard work cultivates a growth mindset. In one study, 67% of students told that they were smart chose the easier option for a test, while 92% of students told that they were hard workers chose the harder option for a test. When students have a growth mindset, they take on challenges and learn from them, therefore increasing their abilities and achievement.